Hi, my name is Farley Lewis. We want to do a painting today and we want to focus on a principle, and this is the principle. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. Good, isn't it? Okay, it works in life and it works in paintings. We want to look at this picture and we want to determine what the main thing is. So obviously in this one, the river, right? I want to make sure that that river really sings. It really needs to pop. The key to making it stand out above whatever is around it is contrast. Picture Taylor Swift at the halftime show of the Super Bowl. She's out there on the field, but there's 400 other performers out there with her. But you can always look out there and see her. So why is it that you can see Taylor out there in the midst of that sea of humanity? The way you see her is they've made sure she contrasts. So if everybody is in red dresses, she's in a white dress. There's going to be something about her outfit that's different than everybody else's. When I look at this river, I have to figure out, okay, visually, what's different about it than everything else? Obviously, it's darker in value than the values around it. And also, it's a different texture. It's nice and smooth. All the transitions inside of this are smooth and gradual, whereas there's a lot of sharp edges out here. So this is smooth, this is textured. So those are the things I'm going to try to keep in mind as I paint this so that this stands out. It stays the star of the show. All right, you ready to paint? Let's do it. I'm going to paint this from the back forward. So I want to find that smooth tannish color in here. I'm just trying to find interesting colors here. I realize the key is not the color, it's the value. So I'm just trying to, some of these colors I'm kind of sort of making up as I go, but it'll make for an interesting painting. I'm going to start getting into some of these deeper tones here. I've drawn out the picture with pencil to kind of give me a start. Got to keep real soft edges so that this thing reads as one shape and not a whole bunch of broken up shapes. I want to put this shot of bright blue down here, kind of purple blue. If I can get this water pretty much done, really nice to be able to just ignore it the whole rest of the painting. Keeping it real smooth, because that's the main thing that's going to set it apart from everything else, is the texture of it. Because this is all real smooth and everything else will be not very smooth. But the colors aren't really going to set it apart very much because it's all browns and blues all the way through the whole painting. Now I fudged on the colors up here. You know, I'm putting some warmer colors in there that are not really quite in the scene. I mean, they do eventually, but not while you're painting. Painters are afraid of really dark colors, kind of like afraid of the dark, and really, really light color. That's what really makes a painting sing, I think. Yeah, so now I'm going to paint some of this brush over the top of the, yeah, I could do the same thing down here. Okay. I want to do some of these dark shapes down here. Remember those really, really cold temperatures last winter, 10 degrees below zero? I think it was during that time. Yeah, this is Lost Hill Park, where I've done innumerable paintings and things like this. The darkest area of this is right underneath the snow. That's this spot right here. Yeah, see, it's like this is the star of the show, and these blue shadows are supporting cast, this supporting cast, and this is, you know, even less of a supporting cast, but it's an interesting element. So I left it in there, but I don't want it to be, you know, singing, screaming at you. And these shadows on the other side of the creek are real important. And I got to figure out how I'm going to do those. I don't have a plan for that yet. I mean, there's a lot of it I've figured out already, but areas that I don't have figured out. The more I have planned out at the beginning, the better. But there's some things you can't really plan for. So there is a spontaneous element. It's like if you're building a house, you know, you've got the overall plan figured out, but then when you get into the little details, you're like, okay, now I could do this better if I did so-and-so or so-and-so, you know. See, this is too dark, that blue. I should have lightened it more. I may just save that for later. I've got all these light trees back in the background. I like to paint general to specific. Right now, we're in general territory. You know, later on, I may look at that and squint my eye and say, well, that doesn't look quite as much like a line of trees back there as I wish. And, you know, I'll add a little bit more to it. Like it needs a little bit of just a few dark tree trunks in there to kind of tell the story. And then down here, it just becomes a jumbled mass of limbs that are partly from the distance, but partly overhanging these overhanging trees here. And it's kind of chaotic, and if I paint it chaotic, it works better. Instead of trying to be real picky about all that brush, I want to capture the essence of it, which is chaos. So if I was painting a whole bunch of individual limbs, it wouldn't have the right feel because it wouldn't feel you wouldn't get that chaotic feel that you get when you look at that. You kind of look at it and say, okay, well, this area works pretty good, this area doesn't. Like, see, there's some big limbs that run through here. And I need just a little bit of that. You don't want to do spaghetti trees, you know, one long, thing. Okay, now I want to paint some of these blues, so I need a lot of space on my palette for that blue-green color, or the purple-blue color. Still not getting that light enough. Okay, I know I'm kind of getting picky in here, but this is the star attraction, so we want it to be right. And I think I am going to lighten this down here while I'm working on this water. Just soften the bottom edge of it to blend it into the rest of the blue, because the overall blue is probably not as important as the edge of it, so that you can see that it's a clear day and not a cloudy day, like you said. It really is good that you talk to me about this stuff, because it causes me to think through what I'm doing and why. I am burning through the transparent red iron oxide because, well, you see through stuff. Like you can see the canvas underneath that. You see that? There's a transparency to it, and it makes it fun to blend it with other stuff. And I don't know, there's just a magic to the transparency of it that's really nice. It's the only one that I use that's called transparent. Every paint has a degree of transparency or opacity, and they do it right there. That tells you, okay, like the white, see how opaque that is? The white covers that up. Because titanium white is very opaque. Zinc white is very transparent. So that's the difference why there's two primary whites that artists use. To do these shadows, I have to know what the snow is doing. I mean, it's got to make sense in my head before I start doing them, or else I'm going to mess it all up. I'm going to go ahead and put this tree in here. The tree has just a little bit of a red cast, which I really like. Okay, now I'm going to do these shadows. I messed up my palette again. If we can do a whole bunch of purpley blue shadows. This is fun watching this take shape, isn't it? See, this is where I have to really mind these little strokes and make sure that I'm painting these clumps of snow accurately so that they read right. Because if I don't do it right, then I'll just end up having to do all this over again. And I'm trying to see the big picture as I go and not get distracted by the little detail thing that I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to try to keep these edges really, really soft. And I'm going to have to use white paint to do it, I think. See, now I'm just going for a pattern down here that mimics what I see without doing a whole bunch of detail-y stuff down here. Some of it's too strong, like that right there was too strong. See, I'm just kind of going for a general pattern down here without... Yeah, and it's getting the secondary light source of the blue sky that's lighting things up, whereas this is not getting very much of that blue sky at all. I just realized there's shadows running across this. That'd be a nice thing to put in too. I think I'll do that. I'll have to wait until I paint some shadows here first, but it feels like a slightly different color too. It feels more blue than purple over there on the other bank. And as it gets farther away, you get less and less contrast. So the blue lightens and lightens. That's where I started, and that's where I am right now for this shadow, for these shadows in the distance. Training yourself to see the main and the plain and not the specific things that you're looking at. Yeah, I don't know. I doubt if I made it up, but I probably heard it somewhere. But like I'm trying to see the obvious main stuff in this and not the little specific branches. Now I see an element of initial drawing that I don't like, so I'm going to fix that. Okay, there's something that's bothering me about this jumble of stuff over here. Actually, I'll tell you what I could do. I could make up some yellow snow. Don't eat it, but paint it with it. See what needs help. Shot of brightness there. I kind of like it, and I kind of think it's not believable. The other thing is I don't have a tree to correspond with that little thing right there. There's a little bit of a shadow on the back side of this. See, this is all still too jumbled up here. It needs a simplicity that it lacks. If I can get it back to simple here. I always wet my brush down before I use it. Yeah, not exactly sure why I do that, but I was taking a workshop from a guy and he said that, and when he said it, I was like, oh my goodness, I do that too. I don't know why. I'm realizing that all of that up there is in the shadow. Isn't that fun? I just put all those tree shadows in with about 5 brush strokes. Yeah, and then I'm realizing something that's fundamentally wrong with this. And that is the trees don't start on the edge, they go up the hill. Trunks need to be doing this.
Boom, just like that. You're going up.
Now, if I could finish this up in just a few minutes, what would I do? Darken that. So your eye doesn't go back there more than it has to. And then I still have a mass of limbs in here that I haven't really painted. I'm not crazy about this top left corner. I like it, but I don't love it. I try to remember to make changes that matter. So right now, like I was just doing things that don't matter. So I stopped myself. I'm like, okay, I'm doing something that's not really making a difference in my painting, so I need to just stop it and do something else. And there's some snow on a limb up in this tree, which I'd like to mimic, but the tree limb is too low, so I'm going to put it down here. And that limb's too fat. So I'll chop it off with the limb itself. And then you can define the hillside with the bottom of your tree trunk like that. And then there's all these little bitty branches. Oh wait, something else I gotta fix. I don't think that fixed it. I'm not gonna worry about it. And I haven't done this tree down here either. So this will kind of help define the tree just a little bit. I'm pretty hard on brushes. Sometimes I'll be doing a workshop and people are like, I can't believe you do that to your brush. I'm like, well, yeah, am I going to turn me in someday? Well, you're facing 3 counts of brush abuse. You have been abusing brushes for a long time and you are in a heap of trouble. Okay, that's a little bit too long it's too strong of an element in my painting, this long thing here. So I need to put something in front of it and help break it up. There is something else I can do that and make it a little bit cooler. But this is way down in the bottom corner, so I'm kind of taking a chance putting something this cool, potentially cool, this far away from your center of interest. There's something else I can do to that water that will help it tremendously. And this will also help. Yeah, this is the reflection of the snow in the water. You see that? Isn't that cool? I'd like to emphasize it a little bit more in some spot. That helped. Okay, this color here, I'm still struggling just a little bit with it. And then I never did put any of the yellow snow on the far bank, and I might mix a little bit of dark color in with these colors. So overall, snow just gets a little tiny bit darker up there. And this is not what I see, this is what the painting needs more. This is where you have to have courage to do big things that you think are going to help the painting, right, and not worry about messing up your painting. Because if you worry about messing up your painting, you'll never be free enough toward the end of your painting to go from good to great. Paintings are not precious. I tell my students that, people in the workshop. See, what I'm doing is I'm darkening all of this back here so that all of this is brighter, and it pulls your eye into the middle of the painting. Okay, see, here's another cool thing. Because all of this snow is going just a hair darker, I can leave spots that I want to really accentuate as areas that I want them to really sing. But I can't do that if most of my snow is pure white, Like, see that snow right there? That may be the only snow I need to keep. I need to murder all my other darlings out there. Helps to simplify things too. Soften all my edges just a little bit. I can't get past this color. It still doesn't feel right to me. I don't know why I don't like it. It looks sunsetty. I think that's what I'm struggling with. Okay, now I'm going to try to do these shadows on the water. This will be kind of fun if I can pull it off. And what I've got to do is paint the sunny parts and leave the shadow part. I can tell already I'm going to have to put another shadow over there. See, this is one of those things that I could kind of run it, but I think the jury's still out on that, but I think it can work. I think what I'm going to have to do is paint the shadows also, do them the same value, just a little bluer. This is where I have to be conscious that either my reflections or the shadows on top of the water need to be dominant, not both. If they're equally visible, then they compete with each other. Yeah, I'm not sure that works, but I'll have to give it time to decide if I like it. It looks like that now, but I'm still not sure I want to keep it. I think I do, but I'm not sure. The beauty of water, usually this kind of thing, is its simplicity. And if you get too complicated, it starts losing its power. There's still edges in here that I don't like. They're too strong, but here's, I mean, this is the kind of thing you can do to fix it. Yeah, just slice it through the middle and Let's see how that broke up that edge, just having something going through the middle of it. Still not crazy about the color I chose for this water. Still looks kind of sunset-y. It's too happy. It's too, see how this color is more believable, and yeah, I like that better already. Yeah, I probably need to put some of that other stuff back in. It needs a little bit of that lighter color in there. See, I'm trying to leave just a little tiny bit of that, this clump of trees. The darks that correspond are not probably as dark as they should be. And then the edges, I can make that transition a little smoother. This may be the last thing I can do. I've said that lots, but okay, I kind of like that. That doesn't mean I'm done with it. It just means that I'm close enough to being done that I could live with walking away from it for a while. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed painting this river with me. And so remember to always keep the main thing the main thing.